Well, hello. This is Mrs. Weddle. I am going to be reading to you from the book called True Stories of D-Day. I made this fabulous little display here of when they were coming to shore. I have some war sounds that I'm going to put on with this, and I'll be reading, and my dogs may get in the way. I don't know. My husband may walk in. I don't know. So enjoy the story. There's the sounds first. For months, the soldiers had been herded from one isolated training camp to the next. Forbidden to see their families and friends, the barracks and mess rooms buzzed with whispers. When are we going? Where will it be? Everyone knew what was coming, the Allied invasion of Europe. All through June 3rd, 1944, they waded away from the shore, huddled on the rain-lashed decks, seasick and apprehensive, while the Channel seethed in the grip of the Atlantic storm. The largest seaborne invasion in history was kept waiting, all for a change in the weather. Like we wait here in Washington for the change in the weather all the time. Eisenhower and the other commanders listened in dismay. Their troops were already embarked and waiting to begin the all-night journey across the Channel. 2 years of planning had gone into the invasion mission, codenamed Overlord. 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 Sorry, I had to do that. I didn't even know that. In January, the date for the attack, known as D-Day, had finally been set, June 5th, 1944. But the generals were relying on calm seas and high clouds for any chance of success. In rough weather, the flat-bottom landing craft carried their armies to shore, risked capsizing, and with low cloud, the Allies' control of the skies was no longer an advantage. After a brief discussion, the generals agreed to wait for another 24 hours before sending down the invasion task force. D-Day was rescheduled for June 6th, provided the storm had abated. On the face of it, the plan was simple. Take 6 army divisions, around 120,000 men, ship them across the English Channel to Normandy, and watch them fight their way through France and into the heartland of Germany. It was the British Prime Minister Winston Churchill who had selected the codename Overlord for the invasion. He asked to be taken along on that day, but the commanders refused, arguing that Churchill was too important for the war effort to be put at risk. Coming to an end here on my sounds. So give it a second. And imagine what's going on. Waiting for the weather to change. Okay, and somehow it goes to this, and it goes to this, and I have to go down. Ooh, alarms. I like that. Sound of a thing. Go back to the shooting. By early 1944, the once mighty divisions of the Wehrmacht, the German armed forces, looked worn and depleted after years of battle. The Russians were pressing in from the east, and the British and Americans were moving up through Italy and the south. It was time for the Allies to establish a new front in the west and crush the forces of Nazi Germany once and for all. For their landing point, the Allies chose 50 miles of coast in the region of Normandy, France, a run of sandy beaches between the ports of Le Havre and Cherbourg. Their assault was divided into five beachheads, codenamed Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. A great Oops, I'm sorry. The British used 30-man LCA landing craft assault boats, while the Americans provided thousands of LCVPs, landing craft vehicle personnel. The LCVPs were also known as Higgins boats, and their designer Andrew Jackson Higgins, they were 36 feet long and 10 feet wide, and although lightly constructed from plywood and mahogany, they could carry 36 men or a jeep and 12 men. Cramped and unstable in heavy seas, Higgins boats looked like giant bathtubs. Their square bow was a single steel ramp that lowered on landing. A whole platoon could charge across this ramp in seconds. Once it was raised, the Higgins reversed off the beach, ready to collect more men. Gotta hold that a second. Ready to collect more men. The Americans made over 20,000 of these boats. The bulk of the Allied army in France arrived on one. The bulk arrived on one. Dogs are barking. Dogs are barking. Okay, so there's my little version of my little boat. See? Got a ramp going on shore. Ta-da! Pretty snazzy. My grandson cannot wait to play with this. Okay, let me go back, get our ambiance of guns and stuff, because we are in World War II. Let's see, this one's 3 minutes. You hear that? Alright, now we're back in on the war zone. The Allies met the logistical challenges with gusto. Where a new boat was required for a specific task, they designed and built it. If the Germans dug anti-tank ditches, which of course they did, the Allies fitted tanks with roll-up bridges to cross them. Sneaky guys. Allied scientists, meaning our friends, Allied equals friend, built other tanks and flailing chains to clear routes through minefields and equipped them with flamethrowers to destroy the concrete machine gun posts known as pillboxes. Engineers constructed 2 giant artificial landing docks called mulberries to receive supply ships in the days following invasion. Pluto, pipeline under the ocean, was an undersea cable pumping vital fuel across the channel. The Allies' success at maintaining secrecy was no less impressive. Although hundreds of people knew the date and location of the invasion, it never reached the ears of the Germans. There was even a new level of security, higher than top secret. And see in here in the book, they made it in top secret, like it's important. Anyone with knowledge of D-Day was classified as a bigot by the British Secret Service. The information they possessed made them bigoted. After a sudden attack by German E-boats, fast patrol launches, on ships taking part in an invasion exercise, 700 men were drowned. Among them were 10 bigots. The Allies were so worried that one of them might have been taken prisoner and talked about D-Day, they sent divers down to recover the missing bodies. All 10 bigots were found and given military burials. Operation Overlord was the world's largest amphibious invasion involving millions of people in planning and execution. Close to 175,000 fighting men were landed in one day across a channel of stormy sea, supported by thousands of bomber aircraft, an armada of ships, fleets, and tanks and supply vehicles. Churchill described it as the most difficult and complicated operation ever to take place. But wars aren't won by operations or plans, no matter how impressive they might seem with hindsight. Victory or defeat is decided by the actions of small groups of 1 or 2 soldiers in thousands of separate actions spread out across the battlefront. It might be a commando trying to destroy an enemy tank in the silent forest clearing. It could be an officer who risks his life to blow a hole in some barbed wire so his company can escape, a murderous gully on a beach, or it could be one man who is willing to charge a machine gun post to save a whole platoon. Victory comes down to the initiative, bravery, and the willingness to fight of individual soldiers. They inspire other men and keep the army moving forward. It is their individual actions that make up the true story of D-Day. And there we go. We have read from the book D-Day. You will have some questions, I think, in Google Classroom from Mrs. Hines. There's my dog. Hi, Peanut. But hello. Peanut's like, what are you doing, Mom? Anyways, hope you guys are having a good day, a good night, a good evening, whatever. And there's her tail wagging. I'm getting attacked by my dog, so I'm going to go. And I will hopefully come up with another video for you to watch. And I hope you like this one. Bye.